Marcus boarded a private jet out of Muscat last Tuesday. He paid $250,000 for the seat. He left his Porsche in the garage, his furniture on the floors, and his two cats tied to a pole outside his Palm Jumeirah villa. He didn't look back. Marcus isn't broke. He isn't running from debt. He's one of Dubai's 81,000 millionaires. A man who moved to the Emirates specifically because he believed it was the safest place on earth to park his family and his fortune. He no longer believes that. And he is not alone. Right now, as you are watching this video, Dubai is experiencing the largest flight of wealthy expatriates in its modern history. We're not talking about middle-class families quietly packing up and moving to Singapore, though that's been happening too. We are talking about centimillionaires, hedge fund managers, family offices, and global executives who built their financial lives in this city, paying hundreds of thousands of dollars to escape by any means necessary. The Fairmont Hotel on Palm Jumeirah, struck by an explosion. The Burj Al Arab, set ablaze by falling drone debris. Dubai International Airport, one of the world's busiest, struck by a missile strike and shut down completely. This is not a rumor. This is what has been happening in Dubai since February 28, 2026, when the U.S.-Israeli conflict with Iran spilled directly onto UAE soil. Over 1,700 Iranian missiles and drones have been fired toward the Emirates since the war began. More than 37,000 flights have been canceled, and the people who once paid fortunes to live here, they're now paying fortunes to leave. In this video, I'm going to show you exactly who is fleeing, what they're leaving behind, and what this exodus means for the city that spent decades selling itself as the world's ultimate safe haven. Because what's happening on the ground right now could permanently reshape Dubai, and nobody in power wants you to understand how serious it truly is. Stay with me, because the numbers coming up will shock you. To understand why this moment is so significant, you have to understand what Dubai sold to the world's rich, and how perfectly it delivered that promise until now. For nearly 2 decades, Dubai wasn't just a city, it was a financial proposition. Zero personal income tax, zero capital gains tax, zero inheritance tax, a golden visa offering 10 years of residency, world-class infrastructure, absolute physical safety in a region everyone else was afraid of. Yeah, the strategy worked beyond anyone's imagination. Dubai's millionaire population doubled between 2014 and 2024, growing to more than 81,000 high-net-worth individuals. By 2025, the city was home to 237 centimillionaires, people worth $100 million or more, and at least 20 billionaires. Last year alone, 9,800 millionaires relocated to Dubai, bringing an estimated $63 billion in fresh wealth. That was more millionaire inflow than any other country on earth. Luxury real estate told the same story. 500 properties sold in Dubai last year for more than $10 million each. In 2020, just 30 properties hit that threshold. The ultra-rich weren't visiting Dubai, they were anchoring their entire lives here. And that's exactly why what's happening now is so devastating. The higher you build something, the further it falls. Yet the Iran war didn't just bring violence to the Gulf. It brought it to the exact landmarks that define Dubai's brand to the global wealthy. When debris from a downed Iranian drone set fire to the Burj Al Arab, the sail-shaped icon that has appeared in more luxury travel brochures than any other building on Earth, something shifted psychologically that no government press release could fix. When the Fairmont Hotel on Palm Jumeirah was struck by an explosion, in the same archipelago of man-made islands where hundreds of millionaires own villas, residents looked out their windows and made a decision. When we saw the fire, we said, "Okay, it's time to go," said one Turkish mother of 2 who lived on the Palm. She was not the last. Private jet brokers described demand unlike anything they had ever seen. Air charter service, one of the world's leading private jet brokers, confirmed they arranged multiple evacuation flights, mostly out of Muscat in Oman, as Dubai's own airspace was partially closed. Some evacuees were paying $250,000 per departure flight. Pets were being left behind, belongings abandoned. One British expat described the scramble to get his pregnant wife and 3-year-old son out of the city as chaotic and terrifying, eventually routing through Hyderabad just to find a connection elsewhere. The scale of this departure was confirmed at the highest levels of government. British Foreign Secretary Yvette Cooper revealed that 100,000 British nationals had already left Dubai since the conflict began. 7 major corporate clients, including large finance and consulting firms, an engaged security firm, Global Guardian, to evacuate between 1,000 and 3,000 employees each. Citigroup and Standard Chartered reportedly began evacuating their Dubai offices. Major global consulting firms followed. Dale Buckner, CEO of Global Guardian and a former U.S. Special Forces commander, said flatly, "The exodus shows no signs of slowing." Now let's talk about what this is actually costing Dubai, because the numbers are staggering. More than $120 billion has been wiped from market capitalization on the Dubai and Abu Dhabi stock exchanges since the conflict began. The Dubai index has fallen 16%, more than double the decline in Abu Dhabi. Emaar Properties, the developer behind the Burj Khalifa, has seen its shares fall more than 25%. Dubai's real estate market, which entered 2026 on an all-time high, has hit the floor. Property transactions dropped by 50% in the first full week of the conflict, according to the Dubai Land Department. Goldman Sachs analysts estimate year-on-year transactions are down 37%. Some properties are now being sold at discounts of 10 to 15%. Or in certain distressed cases 20 to 35% below market, by owners who cannot afford to wait and cannot afford to stay. For context, in January 2026, just weeks before the war, Dubai had recorded 55.18 billion AED in residential transactions, a 43.9% year-on-year surge. The city was at the peak of one of the most extraordinary luxury property booms in global real estate history. That market has been cut in half in a matter of weeks. Aviation, the other cornerstone of Dubai's economy, has taken an equally direct hit. Dubai International's airport handles approximately 95 million passengers a year. It was struck by Iranian missile fire, shut down completely on March 1st, and has been operating at roughly 70% capacity since. Emirates and Etihad suspended operations. More than 18,400 flights have been canceled. Hotel bookings have collapsed, and beach clubs along Jumeirah sit largely empty at the height of peak season. Citi has already revised Dubai's population growth forecast for 2026 down from 4% to just 1%, reflecting expected expatriate outflows and a dramatic slowdown in new arrivals. The city that was supposed to welcome 225,000 new residents this year is now watching its existing residents line up at departure gates. Behind every statistic, there is a family. Evram, a Turkish mother of 2, had lived on Palm Jumeirah for 6 years. She had built a community there, school friends, beach club memberships, weekend routines that felt permanent. When the debris from a downed drone hit a luxury hotel she could see from her living room window, she didn't wait for a second sign. She left. A British expat who asked to remain anonymous described the experience of trying to book a commercial flight out during the peak of the chaos. Prices were extremely high, he said, and seats were disappearing while he was mid-booking. He eventually routed through Oman just to find a path out, traveling with a pregnant wife and a toddler who didn't understand what was happening but could clearly sense that something was wrong. And then there are the ultra-wealthy who simply do not have the same logistical constraints, but face a different problem entirely. With residency rules requiring at least 183 days per year in the UAE to maintain tax status, many high-net-worth individuals who have fled cannot simply return to the UK. They've already used their allowable days there. The UAE is reportedly considering relaxing these rules on a case-by-case basis, a measure that signals just how seriously authorities are taking the risk of losing these residents permanently. The most haunting detail in all of this? The abandoned pets. Local veterinarians in Dubai described being overwhelmed. Animals were being left tied to poles, stranded in the desert. Some had to be euthanized. Yet when the wealthiest people in one of the world's most affluent cities start leaving their animals behind, you understand the scale of the panic. Here is the question that nobody in Dubai's government wants to answer publicly. Is this temporary, or is this a turning point? Dubai has survived crises before. The 2008 financial crash, the COVID-19 pandemic, the 2022 Russia-Ukraine shock, which counterintuitively drove a wave of Russian wealth into Dubai's luxury property market. Every time the city recovered, every time it came back stronger. But this crisis is different in one critical way. Previous crises attacked Dubai's economy. This crisis has attacked Dubai's identity. The one thing that made Dubai categorically different from every other business hub in the world, its reputation for absolute physical safety, has been directly hit. The Burj Al Arab, Palm Jumeirah, Dubai International Airport, these are not peripheral targets. These are the symbols of the Dubai brand itself. Dubai has already seen its safety and security selling point damaged, said Elsa Littlewood, tax partner at BDO, speaking to the Financial Times. It is really important for its economy and image to retain these expats. The structural vulnerabilities are now impossible to ignore. Approximately 90% of Dubai's population are foreign nationals. The city literally cannot function without them. Property and construction contribute roughly 15% of GDP. The entire luxury real estate market, where 500 properties sold above $10 million just last year, depends entirely on foreign investor confidence. And right now, international capital is moving to safer markets. Even before the conflict, UBS had ranked Dubai 5th among 21 global cities for real estate bubble risk. Fitch Ratings had predicted a market correction of up to 15% in late 2025 and 2026. The conflict didn't create Dubai's vulnerabilities. It exposed them, violently and all at once. The long-term population question is the one analysts are now losing sleep over. If the city's growth rate falls from 4% to 1%, as City now forecasts, that's not just a statistical adjustment. That is a fundamental disruption to every demand model underpinning Dubai's property market, its hospitality sector, its retail economy, and its tax base. The question is no longer whether Dubai will feel this. It is how long it will feel it, and whether some of the wealthy who have left will ever come back. Dubai made a promise to the world's wealthiest people. A promise so compelling that 81,000 millionaires staked their financial lives on it. A promise so powerful that $63 billion in fresh wealth arrived in a single year. The promise was simple. Come here, and you will be safe. That promise has been broken. Not by economic mismanagement, not by rising costs or regulatory overreach. Though those pressures were already building, it was broken by something that no government, no golden visa program, and no luxury skyline can defend against. War. The men and women who paid $250,000 for private jets out of Muscat didn't leave because Dubai failed to deliver on luxury. They left because the one thing they could never buy enough of, safety, turned out not to be guaranteed after all. Whether Dubai recovers from this, whether the wealthy return, whether investor confidence rebuilds, whether the brands and the banks and the family offices replant their flags in this desert city, depends entirely on how this conflict ends and how quickly. But one thing is already certain. Dubai will never again be able to sell itself as a safe haven without someone in the room asking a very uncomfortable follow-up question. Are you watching this unfold from inside Dubai? Or did you make the call to leave? Your story matters more than any official statement. Drop it in the comments. Hit subscribe if you want the truth about what's really happening across the Gulf. Because the story isn't over, not even close.